Let's keep reading. Let's see where this goes. It's interesting. This is Buddhist Books Podcast, episode 287, Tipitaka, part 188, in which we will begin reading Mahāvagga IX. Another way to put that is we'll continue reading the Vinaya Piṭaka, the discipline basket of the three Piṭaka. It's probably the least interesting, least useful for our lives today. And so you won't find very many people reading it online. In fact, I think I might be the only one. So if that sounds interesting to you, you're weird. And if you'd like to start at the beginning of the Vinaya Piṭaka and watch all 188 episodes to get to this episode, 187, and then you'll arrive at this episode. By then, I'll be on 200 something or further. Anyway, here's the Tipitaka playlist. You can navigate it. You can scroll up and down. If you are familiar enough with the Tipitaka to know the names of the different parts of the Vinaya Piṭaka in the original Pali, then you can pick your favorite part and watch me recite it and react to it or respond at times, make commentary sometimes. Anyway, so we're starting a new Mahāvagga, and we've read 8 of them, as you might have guessed so far. And one thing that I've noticed is that they start out pretty strong usually. They usually start out with kind of a story, the introduction of some new characters, perhaps, and then it gets into listing different rules of order that are, established within that particular section. So Mahāvagga means Great Division. This is the 9th Great Division, and it's old. It's very old Buddhist scripture. And so there are little gems in it to be found. And if you're interested in hearing old stories and you're interested in early Buddhism, pre-sectarian early Buddhism, they call it, the foundation of all the various forms of Buddhism, really, then you've tuned into the right channel. So please feel free to click like and subscribe if you'd like to see more of this. And anyway, without further ado, I will get to the reading. Oh, and if you notice the 8s, so it's episode 287, so the little wheel means pre-sectarian early Buddhism. And next is the monk, that's Eihei Dogen, with the green book, and that is his Shobogenzo. So that will be up next. So you can look forward to that. That'll be up in a few days. The Great Division, Mahāvagga IX. At one time, the Awakened One, the Lord, was staying at Ngakpa on the bank of the Gagara lotus pool. Now at that time, in the Kasa country, there was a village named Vasabha. A monk called Kasapagota was a resident there. He was attached to the tradition. Now there's a lot of footnotes, and usually the footnotes don't say anything, and this one doesn't say anything. I thought maybe they would explain what they mean by the tradition, but they don't. I'll read it to you. It says, Tanti Badha, which is the word they're translating as tradition, saying, quote, he was fettered by the tanti, or tradition, sacred text, thread, or string, of things to be done, duties, obligations, in that residence. Okay, so he was doing things. He was busy with things. He was attached to the tradition, you might say, or at least they did. He had made an effort so that well-behaved monks who had not come should come, and so that well-behaved monks who had come should live in comfort, and so that that residence should attain growth, expansion, maturity. Now at that time, several monks, walking on tour among the Kasi people, arrived at the village of Vasabha. The monk Kasabhagota saw these monks coming in the distance. Seeing them, he made ready a seat. He put out water for washing the feet, a footstool, a footstand. Having gone out to meet them, he received their bowls and robes. He offered them drinking water. He made an effort in the matter of bathing for them, in parentheses. He also made, so he didn't just start taking a bath as they were arriving. Oh, I'll be right with you. He also made an effort in the matter of kanji, solid food, rice. Then it occurred to these incoming monks, quote, good indeed is this resident monk, your reverences. He makes an effort in the matter of bathing for us, in parentheses. He also makes an effort in the matter of kanji, solid food, rice, for us, in parentheses. Come now, let us, your reverences, settle down just here at Vasabha village, end quote. Then these incoming monks settled down just there at Vasabha village. Then it occurred to the monk Kasabhagota, quote, what was travel weariness in these incoming monks has abated. Further, they, who did not know which alms resorts were appointed, now know these alms resorts which were appointed. It is indeed arduous to make an effort all one's life among strangers, and hinting is not liked by the people. I think that's when you go up and say, anybody want to hear some Dhamma talk? That sure smells nice. What you cooking today? That's like hinting in this context, I imagine. Suppose I were to make no effort in the matter of kanji, solid food, rice, end quote. He made no effort in the matter of kanji, solid food, rice. Then it occurred to these incoming monks, quote, formerly, your reverences, this resident monk made an effort in the matter of bathing for us. He also made an effort in the matter of kanji, solid food, rice for us. But now he makes no effort in the matter of kanji, solid food, rice for us. This resident monk, your reverences, is now corrupt. Come now, your reverences, let us suspend the resident monk. End quote. Then these incoming monks, having assembled together, spoke thus to the monk Kasabhagota, quote, now formerly you, your reverence, used to make an effort in the matter of bathing for us. You also used to make an effort in the matter of kanji, solid food, rice for us. But now you make no effort in the matter of kanji, solid food, rice for us. You, your reverence, have fallen into an offense. Do you see this offense? End quote. I don't. It'll be interesting to see how Lord Buddha resolves this issue. Quote, "There is no offense of mine, your reverences, that I can see." End quote. There really isn't. Have you ever been in this situation where someone, I mean, here I live in India, so there's like a certain amount of decorum you're supposed to have as a host. So maybe that's a bad example. If somebody comes and stays, you're not supposed to ask them to leave. You're not supposed to hint and say, "Well, boy, it's getting late. I gotta work in the morning. So are you gonna go back to your hotel?" Or anything like that. You're supposed to make tea. And then if the next day you don't make tea, maybe there's an offense. But outside of that context, you do something nice for somebody. You loan them $5 or 500 rupees, whatever it is. Then they kind of expect it again. Or you give them whatever. And then a week later they're like, "So, hey, you didn't do anything wrong. You did something right that was," you know what I mean? Let's keep reading. Let's see where this goes. It's interesting. "Then these incoming monks suspended the monk Kasapagotta for not seeing an offense." Yeah, but there has to be an offense that you don't see to suspend someone for not seeing an offense. That's the thing. "Then it occurred to the monk Kasapagotta," quote, "Indeed, I do not know this, whether this is an offense or is no offense, and whether I have fallen or have not fallen, and whether I am suspended or am not suspended, or whether it is by, parentheses, an act, and parentheses, that is legitimate, or that is not legitimate, or by one that is reversible, or that is irreversible, or by one that is fit to stand, or that is not fit to stand. Suppose I, having gone to Campi, C-A-M-P-A, were to ask the Lord about this matter." End quote. "Then the monk Kasapagotta, having packed away his lodging, taking his bowl and robe, set out for Kampa." I'll just say Kampa. "In due course he approached Kampa and the Lord. Having approached, having greeted the Lord, he sat down at a respectful distance. Now it is the custom for awakened ones, for lords, to exchange friendly greetings with incoming monks. So the Lord spoke thus to the monk Kasapagotta, quote, "I hope, monk, that things went well with you. I hope you had enough to support life. I hope you have come on the journey with but little fatigue. But where, monk, have you come from?" End quote. Quote, "Things did go well with me, Lord. I had enough to support life, Lord. And I, Lord, came on the journey with but little fatigue. There is, Lord, in the Kasa country, a village called Vasabha. I, Lord, a resident there, attached to the tradition, had made an effort so that well-behaved monks who had not come should come, and so that well-behaved monks who had come should live in comfort, and so that that residence should attain growth, expansion, maturity. Then, Lord, several monks walking on tour among the people of Kasi arrived at the village of Vasabha. I, Lord, saw those monks coming in the distance. Seeing them, I made ready a seat, 4 dots. Thank you, Polytext Society, for not only translating this wonderful ancient Pali scripture into English, but putting these 4 dots here so I didn't have to read the same thing twice. Okay, anyway. Then, Lord, it occurred to these incoming monks, quote within quotes, good indeed is this resident monk, three dots, and quote within quotes, how do you know about that? They were having a private conversation. Three more dots. Then, Lord, these incoming monks settled down just there in Vessabha village. Then, Lord, it occurred to me, quote within quotes, three dots. Suppose I were to make no effort in three dots. Seems like the Polytech Society took a few notes from the Venerable Kasapagota when it comes to making no effort. No, I'm just teasing. It's light teasing. The matter of kanji, solid food, rice, parentheses for them, end parentheses, end quote within quotes. So then I made no effort. Four dots. Then, Lord, these incoming monks, having assembled together, spoke thus to me. Quote within quotes. Now, formerly, your reverence, four dots. Do you see this offense? And quote within quotes. Then, Lord, these incoming monks suspended me for not seeing the offense. Then, Lord, it occurred to me, quote within quotes, indeed I do not know, four dots. Suppose that I, having gone to Kampi, were to ask the Lord about this matter, and quote within quotes, that is why, Lord, I have come. End quote. Quote, this is no offense, monk. This is not an offense. You are unfallen. You have not fallen. You are unsuspended. You were not suspended. You were suspended by a parentheses formal end parentheses act that was not legitimate, that was reversible, that was not fit to stand. Go, you, monk, settle down there at Vessabha village. End quote. Quote, very well, Lord, end quote. And the monk Kasapagota, having answered the Lord in assent, rising from his seat, having greeted the Lord, keeping his right side towards him, set out for Vessabha village. Then these incoming monks became doubtful. They became remorseful. They thought, quote, indeed it was unprofitable for us. Indeed it was not profitable for us. Indeed, it was ill-gotten by us. Indeed, it was not well-gotten by us that we suspended a pure monk, not an offender, without cause, without reason. Come now, your reverences, having gone to Kampa, let us confess the transgression as a transgression to the Lord. End quote. Then these incoming monks, having packed away their lodgings, taking their bowls and robes, set out for Kampa. In due course they approached Kampa and the Lord. Having approached, having greeted the Lord, they sat down at a respectful distance. Now, it is the custom for awakened ones, for lords to exchange friendly greetings with incoming monks. So the Lord spoke thus to those monks, quote, I hope, monks, that things went well with you. I hope you had enough to support life. I hope you have come on the journey with but little fatigue. But where, monks, have you come from? End quote. Quote, things have gone well with us, Lord. We had enough to support life, Lord, and we came on the journey, Lord, with but little fatigue. There is, Lord, in the Kasi country, a village called Vessabha. We come from there, Lord, and quote, did you monks suspend a resident monk? End quote. Quote, yes, Lord, end quote. Quote, for what cause, monks? For what reason? End quote. Quote, there was no cause, Lord. no reason, end quote, the awakened one, the Lord, rebuked them, saying, quote, "It is not fitting, monks. It is not becoming. It is not suitable. It is not worthy of a recluse. It is not allowable. It is not to be done. How can you, foolish men, suspend a pure monk, not an offender, without cause, without reason? It is not, foolish men, for pleasing those who are not, parentheses, yet, end parentheses, pleased, 3 dots, because the rest of that sentence can be found somewhere 150 pages back in the Polytech Society. We prefer that we go chasing after it rather than just write it down. Polytech Society. End quote. And having rebuked them, having given reason to talk, he addressed the monks, saying, quote, "Monks, a pure monk, not an offender, is not to be suspended without cause, without reason. Whoever should suspend one, there is an offense of wrongdoing," end quote. The lowest possible infraction. It's like a little slap on the wrist. Don't look at a lady without permission. Don't stand with your arms akimbo, and don't suspend a monk for no reason. But it's an offense, so I won't complain. I just would have thought it was a higher offense. Suspending a monk, I mean, you could be ending a person's journey toward enlightenment, you know? Anyway, then these monks, rising from their seats, having arranged their upper robes over one shoulder, having inclined their heads towards the Lord's feet, spoke thus to the Lord, quote, "Lord, a transgression has overcome us, in that we, foolish, misguided, wrong that we were, suspended a pure monk, not an offender, without cause, without reason. Lord, let the Lord acknowledge our transgression as a transgression for the sake of restraint in the future." End quote. Quote, "Truly, monks, a transgression has overcome you, in that you, foolish, misguided, wrong that you were, suspended a pure monk, not an offender, without cause, without a reason. But if you, monks, having seen the transgression as a transgression, confess according to the rule, we acknowledge it for you. For, monks, in the discipline for an Aryan, this is growth." Yeah, just ignore it. Just pay no attention to the random reference to the northern invaders from Persia as synonymous with good. All right, never mind. I don't know. "Whoever, having seen a transgression as a transgression, confesses it according to the rule, he attains restraint in the future." End quote. Okay. "Now at that time, at Ngakpa, monks carried out formal acts like these. They carried out a formal act not by rule. In an incomplete assembly, they carried out a formal act not by rule. In a complete assembly, they carried out a formal act by a rule. In an incomplete assembly, they carried out a formal act by what had the appearance of a rule. In an incomplete assembly, they carried out a formal act by what had the appearance of a rule. In a complete assembly, and one suspended, and one suspended two, and one suspended several, and one suspended an order, and 2 suspended 1, and 2 suspended 2, and 2 suspended several, and 2 suspended an order, and several suspended 1, and several suspended 2, and several suspended several, and several suspended an order, and an order suspended an order. Those who were modest monks looked down upon, criticized, spread it about, saying, quote, "How can these monks at Ngakpa carry out formal acts like these? How can they carry out a formal act by rule in an incomplete assembly? 3 dots. Oh, phew. Thank you, Polytext Society, for not making us read all that again. See, the 3 dots sometimes can be a blessing, sometimes can be a curse. Never mind. How can they carry out a formal act by what has the appearance of a rule in an incomplete assembly? And how can one suspend 1, 3 dots, and how can an order suspend an order? That's a good question. End quote. Then these monks told this matter to the Lord. He said, quote, "Is it true, as is said, monks, that monks at Ngakpa carry out formal acts like these? They carry out a formal act not by rule, in an incomplete assembly, 3 dots. And does an order suspend an order?" End quote. Quote, "It is true, Lord," end quote. The awakened one, the Lord, rebuked them, saying, quote, "Monks, it is not fitting in these foolish men. It is not becoming. It is not suitable. It is unworthy of a recluse. It is not allowable. It is not to be done. How, monks, can these foolish men carry out formal acts like these?" I mean, formals in parentheses. "How can they carry out a formal act not by rule in an incomplete assembly?" 3 dots. "And how can an order suspend an order? It is not, monks, for pleasing those who are not, parentheses yet, end parentheses pleased. 4 dots. End quote. Having rebuked them, having given reason to talk, he addressed the monks, saying, quote, "If, monks, a formal act is carried out not by rule, in an incomplete assembly, it is not a formal act and ought not to be carried out." A formal act carried out not by rule in a complete assembly is not a formal act and ought not to be carried out, 4 dots. A formal act carried out by what has the appearance of rule in an incomplete assembly is not a formal act and ought not to be carried out. And if one suspends 1, it is not a formal act and ought not to be carried out, 3 dots. And if an order suspends an order, it is not a formal act and ought not to be carried out. Monks, there are these 4 formal acts. A formal act carried out not by rule in an incomplete assembly. A formal act carried out not by rule in a complete assembly. A formal act carried out by rule in an incomplete assembly. A formal act carried out by rule in a complete assembly. Herein, monks, that which is a formal act carried out not by rule in an incomplete assembly, this formal act, monks, because it lacks reference to rule, because of incompleteness of the assembly, is reversible. It is not fit to stand. Monks, a formal act like this should not be carried out. And a formal act like this is not allowed by me. Herein, monks, that which is a formal act carried out not by rule in a complete assembly. This formal act, monks, because it lacks reference to rule, is reversible. It is not fit to stand. 3 dots. You remember, it wasn't that long ago. Something similar. And a formal act like this is not allowed by me. Herein, monks, that which is a formal act carried out by rule, in an incomplete assembly, this formal act, monks, because of the incompleteness of the assembly, is reversible. It is not allowed by me. Herein, monks, that which is a formal act carried out by rule, in a complete assembly, this formal act, monks, because it has reference to rule, because of the completeness of the assembly, it is irreversible. It is fit to stand. Monks, a formal act like this may be carried out, and a formal act like this is allowed by me. Therefore, monks, thinking quote within quotes, we will carry out a formal act like this, that is to say, by rule in a complete assembly, and quote within quotes, it is thus that you must train yourselves. End quote. Poor Lord Buddha, my gosh. All he wanted to do was to help people to break free of the wheel of samsara and attain nirvana. He has to deal with all these children. Well, anyway, so many things. All right. Well, that was fun, I think. A little, right? Kind of, maybe. Next time, we'll be, as mentioned, reading Dogen's Shobogenzo. So it'll be a little bit of a different feel to it. About 1,800 years after these events, were said to have taken place. Eihei Dogen, having learned Soto Chan, as it's delineated, though he would object to the box putting, he would say it's Buddhism. You don't need to call it this sect or that sect. I'm teaching Buddhism. Anyway, so Eihei Dogen, I love Eihei Dogen, big fan. In fact, his references in Shobogenzo, I started writing them down and buying the books, the English translations of the scriptures he was making reference to, and that is what evolved into the bookshelf behind me, and there are more books that are in another bookshelf that don't fit in the one behind me, but yeah, so it's very special to me. I've read it before twice, but I'm looking forward to reading it a third time. And we have read several so far. I mean, we've read, I think, 6 or 7 of his lectures, and so we're going to be continuing that series. That series here on Buddhist Books Podcast, if you would like, is right here. You can click through and see. There's a movie reaction to a movie called Zen, about the life of Eihei Dogen. And then there's, my recitals, and commentary about mostly Eihei Dogen. But recently we've started alternating. So here on the clock, at the 2, you notice he has a different book. That's the Platform Sutra from 600 years earlier, still 1,200 years after the events described here. But 600 years before Dogen in China. Chan being the Chinese word that became the Japanese word Zen, basically means meditation. It's the original root of the word. It comes from Dhyan or Dhyana. Dhyan, Chan, you can see how that happened. And then from Chan to Zen, it's the same word, different pronunciation. So, yeah, I hope that you enjoy your day. I hope that you drink plenty of water. Don't forget to meditate. And I hope that you smile from the heart today. And I look forward to next time. I'll go ahead and do our usual closing. To the north and to the south, to the east and to the west, to the spirits of light among us and to the spirits below, we send out our reverent love and compassion. May all beings be happy. May all beings be serene. May all beings be in peace. Until next time.